Hey y'all, in this video, I'm going to show you how to take a reference photo and create a realistic croquis. This technique will work with any reference photo, but if you want this exact front pose, there's a PDF of this photo in the description box for you to print out and follow along. All right, let's get started. So you're going to need your sketchbook and reference photo, a pencil, a pen, an eraser, and a ruler. Now we're going to make some markings on the actual picture. So we're going to break the body up into two triangles. So one for the top torso and one for the bottom torso. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But we're going to mark our key areas, which are our joints. So the shoulders, the elbows. We're going to mark the wrists, mark the knees, and the ankles. Once you have your dots for all of your joints, then we're going to find the smallest part of the waist and draw in a straight line, making sure you follow that slight angle in the waist. You're going to make another straight line across the shoulders, following the angle of the shoulders, and then you're going to make two connecting lines from each of the dots and meeting at the center of the line that you drew for the waist to create your triangle for the top half of your torso. Looking good so far. I'm going to make a small dot at about the widest part of the hips in the center for the crotch, and then connect the lines from the waist back down to that little dot. All right, so now that you've got your two triangles for your torso, we're going to go back in and connect the dots for our arms and legs. We're just going to make one more line down the center from the top part of the neck down through the first triangle. And then let's start connecting our dots for our arms. And you can do this with the ruler, or you can do it freehand, whichever you're most comfortable with. Now when you get down to her hand, you're going to make a small triangle and another inverted triangle, so a diamond shape for her hand. Once you reach that opposite hand, you're just going to make a long triangle. All right, let's move over to the legs. So we're going to start in the center of that bottom triangle and make a connecting line down to the knee dots, and repeating all the way down to the ankle dots, just making those connecting lines. And once you get to the feet, you're going to make a triangle, one triangle on each foot. And just like that, you have your skeleton framework. All right, let's move on. So two things. You can use a dark marker to trace over this framework for your skeleton. That way, if you are tracing that skeleton base out, the lines are easier to see. Or once you've created your guidelines from your reference photo, if you want to go straight to your sketch paper and transfer your little skeleton template over either by eyeballing it or measuring it, that is okay too. All right, now I'm going to finish tracing out this framework just to show you that. And then for the next step, I'm not actually going to trace this framework out. I'm going to show you how to transfer your skeleton over to your sketch paper by using the measurements. Okay, now if you're feeling adventurous, you can eyeball it to transfer it over to your paper, but I'm going to show you how to take the measurements and draw it. So right now we just need the measurements for the two triangles for the torso, and then you can also measure the head and make note of it later because we're going to draw that in, but I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to go ahead and set the framework back up on our paper, and then we'll build out the body once we get that in. And I'll be making sure to write down the measurements as we go along. Okay, so you're going to make that first shoulder line up a slight angle, and that measurement came out to be 2 1/8 of an inch. Next, you're going to measure that left line that meets in the center. That one also came out to be 2 1/8 of an inch. And then the one on the right hand side came out a little bit longer at 2 3/8 of an inch. So you're just going to go ahead and draw that out as well. Now repeat that for the bottom triangle. So for that waistline, that came out to be about 1 5/8 of an inch. And about 1 6/8 inches for those bottom two lines. Once you have your two triangles drawn, then you're going to draw that center line for the neck down to the waist in the middle of that top triangle, and that line is going to come out to be about 2 5/8 of an inch. At the top line of the top triangle, you're going to want to put 2 dots in, so one on each side for your shoulders, and then we're going to start marking in the rest of our joint dots. So for that left arm, I'm just going to use my finger as a guideline for my reference photo to mark it, and then from the elbow dot to that wrist dot, I'm going to use the ruler to line it up. But of course, if you want to take an exact measurement from your reference photo to transfer it onto your paper, you can. That's totally fine. But again, for the left wrist dot, I'm using my finger as a guideline, and then the elbow dot on the right hand side, I'm kind of loosely measuring it here. Well, not loosely, it's coming out to be about 2 inches away. Now for the left knee dot, I'm lining my finger up with the reference photo to make that left knee dot from the center of the triangle, and then loosely drawing it in on the right hand side, that right knee dot. Same for the ankle dot. I'm using my finger as a reference point on both sides. All right, so once you have your dots for your joints drawn in, we're just going to connect the dots. So starting with the arms, and you can use your ruler to draw those in. When you get down to the hands, just draw your two triangles to make your diamond shape for that left hand. And then same on the right hand, connecting the dots and just redrawing your triangle for your hand. And then with the legs, start from the center of the triangle and connect the dots all the way down, and repeat on the right hand side. Now once you get down to the end of the ankle dots, you're going to make your two triangles for your feet, and then draw your inverted triangle on the end of the larger triangle for your toes. And then next to the ankle dots on the inner side, you're going to make two slightly larger circles. Now you're going to measure the head, and it's going to come out to be about 1 5/8 of an inch. So you'll just want to draw a line at an angle about 1 5/8 of an inch, and then shape your head around it. So drawing half of the head, and I'm using my thumb as a guideline on the width measurement. All right, it's coming together quite nicely. All right, so now that we've got our skeleton drawn out, we're going to go back in and start shaping the body. So starting up at the neck, make a straight line on the left and a slightly curved line on the right down to the triangle. For the left arm, on the top third of the line, we're going to make our oval. And then we're going to repeat that on the right hand side. So the top third of that line, we're going to make an oval for that upper bicep. Then for the bottom 2/3 of the line, we're going to make a teardrop oval going all the way down to the elbow dot. And you're going to draw that teardrop shaped oval in on both sides, all the way down to the elbow dot. Now from the elbow dot to the wrist, you can, at the top third, make a smaller teardrop shape oval, and then elongate that teardrop down to the wrist dot, or you can do this step in one shot with an elongated teardrop, whichever way you feel the most comfortable with. Okay, now we're going to build in the bust. So we're going to make a half circle, and you'll want to start in the upper third of the triangle and then carry it to the center front. And then for the waist, you're going to make a slightly curved line all the way down to that waistline. Do this on both sides, and then on the right side, you're going to connect the bust to the arm with a slightly curved line. All right, now let's make our legs. So we're going to start at that waist line triangle, and then make a curved line on the left hand side, taking it out and then curving it back in toward the knee dot. So I'm just going to clean it up and go through this. So on that left hand side, start with a curved line to the knee dot and then back up to that crotch point. So I'm just reshaping it a little bit here. And if you mess up like me, don't worry about it. Just take your eraser, clean it up, then continue on the right hand side, making that curved line from the crotch point down to the knee dot. And then from that waistline point, make an outer curved line back to the knee dot. And then once you have your 2 teardrops for the top of the thigh, we're going to work on the calf. So on my reference photo, I'm just showing you on the top upper third from that knee dot to the upper third of the line, you're going to make an oval on the left hand side. Now, because her legs turned out on the inner side, it's going to be a little bit farther out of that line. And then on the right side, it's going to be a little bit more center just because of how her leg is turned. And then once you have your circles drawn in for your calves, you're just going to take a line curving downward toward those ankle dots. So curve your line in on each side of the circles. And then once you've done that, to complete the ankles, you're going to outline the small circle on the left-hand side and bring a curved line back in on the other side with that larger dot. So do this for both of the feet. And then on the left leg, you're going to draw a straight line down for that heel. And then on the right leg, just repeat the process. So just kind of tracing along the outer edges of the circle and bringing it down to your triangle for your foot. And then once you have that done, we're going to go back up to the top of the sketch and finish out shaping her a little bit more and just building some more curves into the body. So starting with the neck, you're going to make a curved line on the left hand side, bring it back into the dot, and sort of just outlining the circles that you just made, outlining the wrist dot, doing it for both sides of the arm. And then for the thumb here, I'm just going to make a slightly curved little U line and start drawing in the fingers. So you're going to just make some straight lines and then repeat it on the other side, just making that curved line and sort of blending it into that shoulder line, or shoulder dot rather, and shaping it around the outside of your circles into your drop shapes. And then I'm just going to kind of extend that little curve at the elbow, trace over the circle just to give her wrist some shape. And then I'm going to come back in on the right side of the body and just build out her waist a little bit more. By the way, if you're finding this tutorial helpful so far, then please give it a big thumbs up. And if you have any questions up until this point, then please let me know too in the comments. Okay, so we're going to shape out our knees and finish out the legs. So your connecting line is going to go in slightly toward the knee dot and then blend back out along those circles for the calves. Same on the other side. So when you're making your curved line, just blend it back toward the circles, and then you can shape the legs a little bit more if you like. We're going to go back up to the top and draw our guidelines in for the clothes. So at the base of the neck, make a slightly scooped line for the neckline. And then at the center of the shoulders, going all the way down to the waistline, you're going to make your princess lines and just make sure that they cross the apex of the bust. And then about 1/4 of an inch down from that outer hip and waistline, you're going to make a curved line blending into that bottom triangle and then draw in your underwear lines. And you, my dear, have just nailed your front pose. Now you can trace the outer edges and the inner guidelines of your sketch with your black pen. And if you want to take a contrasting color just to mark your princess lines and your underwear guidelines and that center front line, you can. And then once you have your template outlined and marked the way you like it, if you're ready to use it, you can go ahead and trace it on your paper that you plan to make your sketch on. And I'm just using my light box to trace this out for my final sketch. Now, if you're curious about this light box and you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description box below for you. And just remember, practice makes progress, so don't be discouraged if it doesn't look exactly how you want it to the first time. Just keep practicing, refining your skills, and experimenting with different poses and styles. And remember, you can take this technique and use it with any reference photo that you happen to have. So you can use a photo of yourself or a photo from a magazine or online to create your croquis template. The purpose of these tutorials is just to get you comfortable with drawing the poses. And I do plan on going in more depth in future videos of showing you how to use different mediums like your markers, your color pencils to draw the clothing. Also, step-by-step details of how to draw the clothing and accessories as well. If you found this tutorial helpful and inspiring, then please don't forget to hit the like button and share it with a creative friend who loves to sketch as well. And to watch another in-depth sketching tutorial, then check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, y'all, keep sketching, keep sewing, and keep the momentum going. Take care.